So Posie Parker has become Nonce Disrespector-in-Chief for actually getting a visit by the police for disrespecting nonces.
How is she pulling ahead of us in the nonce disrespecting category?
I think she's more in the police's ire because she's in that, feminist paradigm, or at least she's nipping away at that within.
I suppose so. It's just so much of our content is dedicated to disrespecting nonsense.
And we don't get a visit by the police,
no.
Whereas she does for upsetting them. But first, just to mention, of course, you should go and watch the interview with Posie Parker that Carl did a while back.
Yeah, it was great.
In which, she talked about these sort of things and why she ended up essentially now as the, hate crime connoisseur of nonce disrespecting.
But just to be clear, right? Posie Parker is a lovely woman with 4 children, married, very polite, very nice, doesn't seem in any way out of the ordinary, except she's like, look, there's a definition of woman, and I think that we should embrace it because it's real and makes sense to the world. And that's like, right, okay, now you're in trouble.
Yeah, big time trouble.
She's
literally police trouble.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing she's ever done wrong as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, because if you go to the next image here, I did see Carl sent me this. It popped up yesterday, which is she did a live stream, just cool. Just had the police here for what did she say? If you can scroll down again, just for the wording, it was being untoward about paedophiles.
I just love that phrasing. Sorry, excuse me, sir, madam. In fact, you're being untoward about paedophiles.
Oh dear, am I?
Oh, I'm sorry, you are. Yes, you're welcome. Like,
do you want to be
good.
Promoting towards I don't know.
Who is not being untoward about paedophiles apart from the Vorsh fan base?
Aren't you the police? Aren't you meant to be against this? Oh wait,
you the police realise that paedophilia is a crime, don't you?
Is it? Oh, good lord! I left young Maddie with those lovely men from Luton. Well, I suppose they'll learn somehow. But she describes her ordeal in her live stream, and I thought we'd give some of it a watch. You can watch the full thing, of course, on her channel, but we'll just cut down the relevant sections. The first one here being the fact that she did indeed get a visit for disrespecting the nonces. Let's play.
Are you Kelly J. Keane? I was like, yes. And they said, oh, can we come in? And I said, no, you can't. And he said, well, we're here because we've had a complaint. Do you do YouTube videos or something? I said, yeah. He said, we've had a complaint. Somebody's phoned up because in one of your videos, you were being untoward about paedophiles. So I said, surely I'm allowed to, I said, it's a crime to be untoward about paedophiles. He said, no, do you know the video I'm talking about? I said, no, I make lots of videos in which I talk about child safeguarding and women's rights and not wanting men or anybody who is born male, which I would call a man, about them not using women's spaces. And I said, I'm actually quite offended that you're here this afternoon to spend time telling me about being untoward about paedophiles. I said, when really there is actual crime going on.
Such as paedophilia, perhaps.
I mean, the grooming gang scandal is still going on. Yeah. Like, it hasn't stopped. There's still thousands of young girls being raped by particular groups of men, trafficked around the country, and they're like, well, you can't be offensive about this.
Well, it's not those paedophiles. I mean, they've got their own special protections and things you can't criticize. But there's another group of paedophiles which the police are very concerned with.
But what I love about this is some nonce has phoned up the cops and been like, she's being really offensive towards noncing. Oh, well, we'll get right on that, sir.
But that's the thing. I mean, it does come down to it. I mean, I love the idea that there's going to be police visits into schools in future in which the police will tell the kids about nonce rights. And the fact...
breathing heavily down the phone. Yes, she made a video about pedos. She was very disrespectful. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry. I remember the last podcast, there's that old quote which, misattributed to Voltaire about, find out who you can't criticize. To find out who really rules you. And it's like,
hey, but that's not even wrong. I mean...
the international pedo elite seems to become more and more true by the
Prince
day.
Andrew and Epstein, sorry. I mean, Jimmy Savile. I'm sorry, there is evidence for this.
Except, it's not just them. It's not just Rotherham types, is it? It's another type that Posie Parker might have poked.
Yes.
But she goes on to have a more conversation with this person, and the copper in question decides to tell her it's a hate crime. Let's play.
He said, well, the person was offended. I said, well, yes, and I'm offended. I'm offended that you're here trying to silence women, talking about the safeguarding of children. He said, it's been recorded as a hate crime. I said, is it a hate crime or a hate incident? And he said, I'm not here to argue. And I said, okay, well, let me tell you this. He said, look, I have to go and report back to the person. I mean, even that. Oh, I know what I said. I said, have you watched the video? He said, no. And I said, so you're here because somebody was offended about something that you haven't even seen? Yes. Shall I go back and watch the video? And I said, well, I would have thought that was something that you should be doing before you come out to somebody's house on a Sunday afternoon. And I said, right, okay, so let's say that somebody makes a video about anti-racism and I'm a racist. So I phone up and say, it offends me that somebody just made an anti-racist video. Are you coming out for that? No. Right, okay. Just to silence women then. Okay, as I said, it's recorded as a hate crime. And then we had the conversation about hate crime, hate incident. He said, I'm not here to argue. And I said, you tell the man that reported me that I don't care how he identifies. He is not coming in women's spaces. He is not welcome in women's spaces. We don't want him in women's spaces. We won't call them women. They're not going to take our language. So will you tell him that? He goes, all right, well, this has taken about 3 minutes and we can go now. How insane.
I love it. You're going to be charged with a crime for saying that paedophiles might be bad.
I love the idea that racists are funny at the police. Like, look, so you defend the pedos, but you won't defend me, an honest to goodness racist.
We built this country.
We run this country.
I keep being told by the BBC.
Yeah, exactly.
And instead, you're just defending the pedos. It's not on. And, well, the logic isn't even wrong.
Have a special protected group.
They've got a protected characteristic, Carl. It's sexuality, we are told.
That's what it's going to be.
Yep. And, well, we have that as well, because she goes on to say that she thinks that the two coppers who turned up were clearly out of their depth.
Yes.
Which, are they any better than their average copper, though, frankly? I mean...
To be honest with you, when I had to go and speak to the cops in Birmingham about an alleged incident with Jess Phillips, like an alleged tweet against Jess Phillips, they were clearly out of their depth as well. And after, I was there for an hour just explaining things to them, and you can see the look on his face is just like, like the
what the hell have I stepped
into?
The
meme of the mathematical equations. He's just like, you could tell they were just, oh my God, this is stupid. It's like, yes, and very clearly here.
But that's what I mean. Like that with Harry, getting visited to check his thinking, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, the British police do uniformly seem to be defenseless against leftist ideology, and this is another perfect case where the peers really entered the alphabet, it seems, because she said she may have misspoke and said it's not crime because what crime was committed, but
she wasn't arrested. I mean,
yeah. So I thought we'd just crack in. Of course, for foreigners who may not know, we have hate incidents in this country, which is a non-crime that the police investigate
and record.
I can't make that make sense, but we'll go forward.
Hate incident.
Yeah, so it's defined in here. A hate incident is any incident which the victim or anyone else thinks is based on someone's prejudice towards them because of their race.
Oh, I'm mind reading. Mind reading.
Sexual orientation, disability, or because they are transgender.
You know what? I, as a leftist activist, have decided you just hate me because of my race. It's not like every leftist activist takes that as read on everything they do.
Yep.
Good God.
But they won't be investigating that.
Well,
only for protected groups like pedos, which is they've been historically marginalized.
No, if you've got an ethnic minority racial activist, they'll have to give you hate incidents for that. And every single time it's because I'm black, it's because I'm black. I mean, imagine what David Lammy's reports to the police are like. They just do it because I'm black. It's like, no, it's because you're an idiot, David.
Hello, David. How's the kids? Good to hear from you again.
Been on Twitter again, have we, David?
But yeah, we are. I mean, all of those, none of those. I don't think there's the paedophile race yet. The paedophile religion, the paedophile disability. I mean, it's kind of like paedophile transgender. We'll leave that there. Yeah. And paedophile sexual orientation. There we are. That's it. That's got to be the one. That's the one the police have decided is now a protected characteristic, in which they will defend the honour at all costs. You're a nonce, and the police go, no, and jump in the way.
That's just what a world we're in.
It's a real inversion of Brass Eye. I mean, Brass Eye was like, oh my God, imagine if there was, a huge overblown fear about pedos, and the police have decided that what if there was no protection for them
What
instead?
if the pedos were the good guys, say the British police? What if Posie Parker, a mother and women's rights activist, is the villain here?
I love how it's not even anything but being untoward as well.
Yeah. So, am I not allowed to be untoward towards things?
Just of all the things. But there you have it. There's the state of the UK.
See, it's
as it
not even
continues.
tolerance, though, is it? It's approval, right?
No.
That's the thing that untoward implies. So, I can be untoward towards things. Yeah, I'm tolerating it, but I don't have to like it, and I can be untoward. I mean, what a tepid word to use anyway.
The British police are like, well, you're only tolerant of paedophilia. You're not promoting it, so we've got to step in.
But like untoward is literally having a negative attitude towards something. So look, I can have a negative attitude towards immigration and tolerate immigration.
How about crime?
You know? Yeah. I mean,
Police are only allowed to have positive visions of crime.
well, the police sat there thinking, look, if crime ends, then we're out of a job, lads. All right.
But there you have it. There's the story with her, which again is just so unreal. I know we're laughing, but I mean, this really is just the hell world this island has become. I mean, I love that meme where it's like your British police are the most incompetent on earth, but also somehow you live in a totalitarian nightmare state.
Yeah, I know. How has this happened to us?
Oh boy. But it's not the only story along these lines. There is another one that I saw popped up, which I think we will go and check out, which happened on GB News, which is this chap here, who we featured many a times before. You may remember.
Oh, yes.
Pop star Ollie London,
The obviously sane pop star.
who has decided not only is he Korean, of course, you may remember, he decided he was transitioning to become Korean.
Yep.
He's now also transitioned into being a woman, according to himself.
Look, that's no different
Yep.
to anything else, yeah.
Certainly isn't, and is deciding that he wants a 100% Korean baby. So he's hooked up with a porn star who also isn't Korean, and that means...
Are they going to adopt?
I mean, the state of this.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I mean, I did see in the comments, even a lot of GB News viewers were like, is this LGBT news?
Please don't visit me for being untowards towards trans Koreans.
A lot of people just saying, okay, this is the moment, it's all gone too far. But I mean,
this is the moment. Right,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's useful that, okay, finally, apparently some percentage of the British public are like, well, I'm fine with all of this. Fine with Posie Parker getting visited, but trans Koreans, step too far in a progressive world.
That was the line.
God. But... I mean, again,
okay.
the absolute state of the West. What the hell is wrong with us? Why is this even a discussion? I mean, we can't be untowards towards pedos, and we need to accept trans Koreans. Or
I'm
gulag time.
I'm thinking maybe I might be against tolerance as a concept.
Yeah, I think it's got that far.
Yeah.
I think tolerance has had its try, and
Look where it ended up.
don't know how much good it's done. It's done some good, the religious aspect, but in this aspect, not so much. But if you go to the next link here, you might notice GB News actually deleted a tweet about this, which interesting.
Really? Why?
Can you guess?
Uh.
No. They said
No.
his child.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course, her child. Duh.
Yeah, they
Don't want to
deleted
get deplatformed from Twitter because you misgendered
corrected
a
their
clearly
pronouns.
sane person.
Because GB News didn't want to upset the sane individual
Yeah,
across from Mark there.
No,
which,
Twitter's rules prevent that.
I know, but it's just the level of if that's the case, okay, then we might have to delete some other stuff about the past of Mr. London. Instead, he might not be Mr. London, but Mr. Soul at all times and in all places. But this isn't the worst thing that's happened in these regards. This is just one of the most insane aspects.
Yeah.
The worst thing is Stonewall, of course.
Really?
Couldn't shut their mouth for 5 minutes.
Oh.
So to tweet this out. They kept it up. They didn't delete it in the end. But you see, they put out here, research suggests that children as young as 2 recognize their trans identity. And yet, many nurseries and schools teach a binary understanding of pre-assigned gender. Young as 2.
My youngest son is currently 20 months old, so nearly 2. And
So he'll be a girl by...
he'll be a girl by the end of the year. But the idea, like, they can't even speak at this point.
No.
Right? They play with the things that interest them. He happens to really like fire engines. It's a big win. Definitely a boy. But like the idea you could identify that a 2-year-old is transgender is just insane.
Just obviously child abuse and sickening.
Yes.
And the fact that Stonewall promoted this.
Yes.
I think this may be the tweet that kills them, honestly.
Oh, fingers crossed. Christ.
Because, I mean, over the last year, Liz Truss did the good thing of actually deplatforming them from
Yeah.
every government department, because
Yeah.
why the hell are they getting state money?
Don't know, conservatives.
There's like 3 left that still give the money. It's like work and pensions and a
Yeah.
couple of others.
Right.
But It is some good news there. But then this is the thing. I mean, this is just the ultimate reveal. I mean, I know we've talked about for ages, in which you've had this endless push over the last 2 years of, well, they could be trans at 16. Oh, what about 14? 12, maybe? What about 4? According to the Scottish government. Stonewall's gone with 2. That's the point at which we should transition kids. And the article that accompanies this is just sick, really.
Really?
I thought we'd go through some of the quotes in here of what they said, the person who wrote this article. Start off with, my 4-year-old is gender non-conforming, but her nursery don't respect that.
Base nursery.
They write...
Posie Parker's nursery.
I would send my kids there to be safe.
Yeah, well, I don't think they can get Nonce or converted into something else.
No, she might be untoward to any strangers that turn up.
Be untoward towards the pedos. Yeah.
The author writes, it came unprompted, bubbling up from somewhere pure and certain inside of her.
Oh, did it? Right.
Big think. My husband and I took to asking whether she felt like a boy or a girl, or neither.
But it was unprompted.
Pure, bubbling up inside of her. So we went...
God, this is abuse by women.
I mean, it's just such a reveal.
Big self-report.
Keep the women comments to yourself for this one. To let her know we were listening and keeping tabs on any progression either way. We were just interested. We weren't pushing anything.
Oh,
This
yeah.
defenseless child. I was bathing her one time when the question came up, and she said, I'm a boy.
When the question came up, so you were bathing her and asked her, are you a girl or a boy? And she's like, I'm a boy? I don't know. I'm 4. Like, I will literally just... Like, this is the thing. Children are so easily led by what you put in their minds because they're literally 4 years old. You know? Like, if you didn't keep saying it, they wouldn't think about this at all.
But also the idea of, just, you know, when you're bathing a child, I imagine most of the conversations are, do you like the rubber ducky? Not, are you comfortable with your gender identity?
Well, normally, like, you know, playing with toys, like pouring water through water mills and, you know, splashing each other.
But no, not this person. They have much bigger things to chat to their kid about.
When the question came up, I love the idea that, it's just organic, you know, it's in the middle of the bath. Came up.
In this organic conversation,
Yeah.
She went quiet for a moment, looking down at the bubbles deep in thought.
That's another characteristic of 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
Pondering thoughts, just
I think not, Father.
Yeah.
Then she looked up again. With a confident smile, she confirmed, I'm a boy today.
Okay.
Yeah, today as well. Which I marvel at how self-assured she already was. For as long as I can remember, I've struggled to assert myself with others, even my own family. I'm beyond relieved she feels comfortable being herself around me and keeps growing all the more confident and adventurous for it.
Right. I don't know how else to explain this, but like children of this age have no method of self-restraint or understanding that they aren't the center of the universe, right? And there are psychological studies. Oh yeah, no. There are really interesting studies where it's only about 5 years old that they can begin to picture what the world would look like from another person's perspective. And I saw, the great ones where it's got like a landscape scenery, and the child just assumes the person whose view they're looking at can see everything they can see because they just can't imagine it, right? And so the idea that this 4-year-old's like, I don't know if I should say that. It's like, no, they are blabber mouths, right? And one of the big problems when they get to about 4 and they can start talking is when you walk around the supermarket and they go, Mummy, that person smells. Daddy, that person's really fat. And it's like, shh, we know, we can all see it, but it's really embarrassing.
It's a lot. I mean, it's also the whole thing of like, if a kid says you're ugly, bro, you ugly.
Oh yeah.
There's no coming back from it.
Like they have no filter.
I know. I just remember once the story of just a child. My mother did just they're getting on the bus. The bus driver was a lady who was very fat, and the kid just went, "Gosh, she's fat." It's just like, shut up. Anyway, but
also correct.
The author continues, but the obstacles to her sense of self have started looming. Again, as if the world has put the obstacles there to her sense of self, not your sense of self that you've pushed on this child, of course. Ever since she started nursery in September 2021. After she'd been attending for a few weeks, she said to me again she was a boy, but then looked troubled and added that her teacher told her she was a girl and that she's always a girl. I suspect her teachers don't think she's old enough for gender nonconformity.
Her teacher's normal.
Yeah, I suspect too that her teachers are actually sane and not a child abuser. not like
but
other people.
this is exactly the problem. You're perverting your child's understanding of their own self. That's awful.
Yeah. Despite published research confirming that children as young as 2 or 3 recognize their gender and identity, and their own transness. Just shut up. I'm not believing any of that. That's just obvious hokum. So not even going to waste my time. Whilst my daughter's identity is still in its early formative stages, it's hard to know if I should act against the school or teachers. I mean, what are you planning?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Allahu Akbar. What's the plan here, love?
Because I can't...
What happened? He misgendered my son.
So I burnt this nursery down with the teachers and all the other kids in. Because I can't fully know what happened in the first place. I mean, we can guess. It's as described by the kid.
I mean, it doesn't sound like a ridiculous story.
No. They write, I still feel like a coward because I haven't spoken up. Either way, the damage is done. She's been less likely to talk about her gender with us.
Good.
Yeah, good. She's healing. We are the virus.
Yeah.
And when she does, it's often to affirm her femininity.
Lucky for her.
She'll talk about stereotypical girly things like princesses in a way that makes me feel like she's parroting things she knows girls are supposed to like.
Again, like as if 4-year-olds have this level of self-awareness. Like,
so ultimate reveal.
They actually, like, kids can't really lie until they get to about 5 or 6 years old. Because again, they just don't have the sort of mental processing power. And so it's really funny when they just big self-report on everything. It's hilarious, you know. But yeah, no, she's just looking at the things that interest her. That's it.
But also the self-report there of when she was saying she's a boy, I was 100% all eyes and ears, happy to help, push her along, go for it.
Girl.
And now she says she wants to be a girl.
How disappointing.
There must be someone pushing this ideology. It's unbelievable.
Just the irony of it.
Unbelievable.
God.
Meanwhile, I still call her my daughter, and so I worry I'm only making things worse.
What, by affirming the gender she wants to be called?
Yeah. Again, just as soon as it's not the way you want, for some reason, all of a sudden you're worried about someone pushing ideology on a girl, thinking she's a girl because she's a girl. I mean, again, make it make sense. I mean, the West is just a mess.
There is the Joker meme of the millennial mother where he's like, you know, my mum always wanted a transgender and I didn't feel that way. And that's how I got these scars, that meme. And that's all I'm seeing on this. Just, I feel bad for these kids.
Mother.
Yeah.
The main reason I'm still gendering her this way is because she's comfortable being called a girl. Well, mystery solved. Get back in the van, lads. But expresses discomfort with being anything else, presumably because of what her teacher said to her.
Oh, let's keep presuming.
Sometimes she still broaches the topic of wanting to be a boy. I'm sure she does. She's pointed to male characters in books and says that she looks like them. Okay, that means she's transgender, is it? Right.
Yeah.
We say teachers can't tell her who she is, but she comes back with the same contradiction. If my teacher said this, it must be true. Transgender awareness in early education is still being fought for by LGBTQ plus charities like Mermaids and Stonewall.
Just a quick thing. I love this. It's surprising how easily kids slip into this mode of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising how easily kids recognize boys and girls.
But it's also the fact that she thinks there's some authority in her life that has forced her to be a girl. Whereas when I was forcing her to be a boy, that was not the...
That was organic and natural.
Perfectly normal. But I love how she just self-reports Stonewall as well, being the ones who are literally trying to do this to kids. Fantastic. And then she ends this. The gender-inclusive values of London's proudly diverse Jenny Hammond Primary come praised as good practice by Ofsted, but 1 or 2 schools making this effort isn't enough. So you know which schools to avoid, lads.
Yes.
And then the ending. Anti-bullying policies aren't cutting it. Not for my daughter or anyone in the trans community. As a trans man...
Oh, God, what are the odds?
I know this firsthand.
I apologize for misgendering this stunning and brave manlet.
Oh, really? I for one, am just shook that all of that came from someone who also has probably no reason to try and force it upon their daughter. I also love, you literally gave birth to her. I mean, come on.
To him.
Sorry. He gave birth to him. Right.
Can't be just seething. My daughter doesn't want to be a boy. Oh, God, I transitioned. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?
That's the thing as well. It only takes one generation for this nonsense to not be indoctrinated, and the whole thing will end.
Yes.
Nowhere else in the world does this happen. Nowhere else in any time period has it been like this. This is all cultural imports. But anyway, that's that. That's the disrespecting noncery, which will get you a hate crime record these days. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the book clubs we do, this one on Constantine Kissins and Immigrants' Love Letter to the West. And if you want to follow what else I'm putting out, you can follow me on Getter at @CallumOnGetter. Thank you and goodbye.